Today is January 22nd, 2025. The time is currently 7:23 p.m. I have today um a rant about AI in storytelling because this is something that we talked about AI in class and I went, I can't do my rant, my philosophy about AI in storytelling. So, okay. First, let's touch on AI in the real world. Generative AI, all the shit that you're getting told as AI, that's not AI. Because is this toilet paper?
It is in fact.
Okay. Let's Great. Start with my working definition of intelligence, sentience, and conscious. And that is empathy. We're not gonna we don't need to dig deeper into the definition of to be conscious, something must have empathy. Because that's just what we're working with right now for this. I can get a more complex thing if given time and thought, but I don't want to. So, I don't think that AI could exist in the real world because I think that the amount it's tickling my face. I'm gonna undo this. The amount of Should I close the door?
I can close this door.
Okay. The amount of power that you would need to simulate enough life to have the ability to create empathy, I think, wouldn't work. Unless you can program empathy, and I feel that that is hard, but I feel that simulating a life of a human could be done, but it would take a lot of power because of the amount of randomness that would necessitate, and you would basically have to generate an entire world. So I don't think that that's possible. You could also try to do it by hand, but that would take like years. So I don't think we can do it in real life. But in storytelling, it serves as a very specific existence. Most of the time, it's to go, uh, look, machines will take over. And I don't think so, because going back to that working definition, it requires empathy. I think that if a machine, an AI, were to come across, well, were to come into existence, and let's say it has access to the entire internet, I don't think that it would go, oh, look at all of these horrible people. I have to destroy the world or I want to take over the world. I think it would go, look at what all of these people do when they have no consequences for it. The world should be a kinder place. I have the power to make it so. And so to some, it would be taking over the world and in some sort of dict- dictatorial position. But it would just be making the world a kind place. So that's my philosophy on like world shattering AI kind of deal. But I think that um, a lot of the time, AI and storytelling is also separately used as like a logic thing of like, well, we need to solve these problems. We'll ask an AI for the ethical correctness. And I don't think that that is functionally possible because one, you make a program, so we're out of like actual artificial intelligence. You make a program to make these decisions. You have the bias of the humans that have made the program. So that's just them making the decisions. If you have an AI with empathy that is functionally just a human brain, but a computer, which is what a human brain is, um, then it would still have that same bias because also true objectivity doesn't exist. That's what we were talking about in class. And then someone brought AI, and I went, I can't talk about my my because I don't know if people share this philosophy. I don't talk about this, but this is I like stories involving AI. Well, I will make stories involving AI at some point because one, AI serves as a very good metaphor for being trans and also autism. It's the same thing. That's the fun thing about transgenderism and autism is you can make one thing a metaphor for both of them because all you have to do is all you have to do is switch exactly like what you're focusing on because a character who feels like they cannot be themselves in society and as ostracized, like, well, you can make this transgenderism, you can make this autism, you can make it both, or you can make it neither. That's less fun. Um, but I like writing AI, and I have a very specific philosophy about how AI works, and it's basically just a human being. Because one, that's what my brain understands because I'm a human being, a humanity reveal. But and well, also the people that are gonna read my stuff are probably also human beings. If they're not, okay, oh wow, man, okay, sick. But it's easier to understand a human being, and also because the idea of like it's just a machine that sucks. Because also like that's a person, that's a thinking person. But I think it really comes down to my specific application of what defines an artificial intelligence and intelligence in general with empathy. Because, and I'm talking like I am a great philosopher of our age. I'm not. I'm a college student. Um, uh, but I I think that when considering what what makes intelligence, a lot of like because the Turing test exists. I'm not gonna be like Alan Turing is a dumbass. No, I think that he's very important, and a lot of the things that exist nowadays wouldn't exist without him. He's a very important figure. And I think that the Turing test is a good test. I think that it's a very interesting test, but I feel like because you can't test intelligence because what is intelligence? So you have to define intelligence first, and it's very clever to go, well, intelligence is what you think it is, and I think that that is really good because also how do you test empathy? But also the idea of like, well, it's programmed uh, to simulate empathy. That's just having empathy. At what point, like, you are programmed to simulate other people's emotions. That's what empathy is. um, I just think, because also specifically with rise of generative AI stuff, and there's all, because that's not real AI. It's not thinking. It is here's this training, and and it will output what it has been trained on, just in a different form. It will be trained to recognize words based on their characteristics, and when it doesn't, it'll go, I don't know what that is. I'll try to figure it out. I don't like characterizing it though, because it is just, it's a question of, well, I've defined when it becomes not a program, when it has empathy. Otherwise, it is just a program. And okay, because I've solidified what I was talking about when I was talking about simulating empathy, just being empathy. Because if we go back to Eliza, which is like the one of the original chatbots, which was a therapy bot, it's not very good because it was made like in the 80s, but it has some level of like simulating empathy, but it's not that level. It is because the level of simulating empathy would be necessitate understanding emotions and understanding the complexity of emotions, which would at that point necessitate the feeling of emotions, which would then just create empathy. So having something where it's like a clinical description of like, well, how would without using poetry, and I can't do this because I'm a creative writing major and everything that I do is in poetry. Um, without using poetry, describe any emotion without using that emotion for it or any other emotions. I don't think that you could, so how would you program a machine to without an inherent understanding of what an emotion is, going back to necessitating that feeling? Anyway, whenever people say AI, and AI, well, I mean, for AI generated images and like most of that shit, you can go, yeah, okay, that's what it is called because it's what it's called in modern language. But also, that's not AI because that doesn't have empathy. And because empathy is the most important thing that you as a human being or you as an AI can have because it's what defines your existence in relation to others and others and hell is not other people. Love is other people. The world is other. Well, that because the rest of the quote is hell is other people. Heaven is friends or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Um, make friends, be love, have hope. Because if you don't, then what else? What else do you have?